The whole threat to democracy thing for Joe Biden, that if Donald Trump's elected, it's the end of the republic, on and on, that didn't work out very well at all for Joe Biden or for Democrats. And I'm wondering why now, a month out from the election, Donald Trump is saying, I'm God, and if you don't elect me, America ceases to exist.
Well, I don't think he's saying he's God. I mean, he's the chosen one. You have to understand
same thing.
What this is all about. Nah, it's not the same thing. What this is all about is preservation of American tradition. So I was in England over the weekend in London, where I went to school 50-plus years ago, and I took my son to show him where I was, what I did. And 45% of all London residents are now foreign-born. So English tradition, British tradition, has declined dramatically. So you used to get steak and kidney pie and tea at 4 and fish and chips. Now you get Starbucks, you get ramen, you get all of that. It's all changed. A lot of the older British subjects, they're not citizens, they're subjects, don't like this at all. It's the same thing that's going on here. The MAGA people and the people who are supporting Donald Trump fear their country is being taken away from them by the progressive left. And their fears are founded. When you open a border and you allow millions of people to come in here unattended, with no structure at all, there's a reason you're doing that. And the people who don't like it, for whatever reason, there are a million reasons they don't like it, see Donald Trump as the savior. Because unlike most Republicans, he deals with that in a very direct way. Now, do I approve of that way? Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. I don't think you should be demonizing migrants. I don't think he should be doing that.
Okay, I hear you.
One more thing. A side note in London. The migrants that are there work extremely hard. All right? Wherever you go, they're the drivers, the hotel people, the baristas,
sure,
whatever. They're working their butt off. But English tradition is on the decline, on the way out. And that is what the MAGA people in America do not want to see correspondingly in the USA.
Look, a couple things on that. I spent a year in London, about 30 years after you did, so 20 years ago, and I'm now shocked by the areas of British cities that have turned into little Islamabad and little Riyadh. In fact, Riyadh may seem liberal compared to certain parts of England in terms of the level of draconian and fundamentalist Islam that's practiced in those cities. So I thought that's where you were going. But again, people see Donald Trump as their savior because Donald Trump has put himself to be the savior. You wrote a book on every one of the presidents. That's not how the founders viewed the presidency.
I disagree. FDR put himself up as the savior after the Great Depression. John F. Kennedy put himself up as the savior for Camelot. This is a way to acquire power. So Donald Trump understands viscerally the disenchantment on the right toward the progressive movement. He understands it. He's using it. He's exploiting it. Does he think he's St. John? He doesn't even know what St. John wrote. Okay, does it? No. Okay. He's using it. So this absurdity that he and Musk somehow think that they're two of the apostles, they're not. But I do agree with you.
Well, they're not.
It is a power play.
Okay. All right. Well, so fair enough. I say they're holding themselves out as apostles. You don't. Fair enough. Look, you had a show during Hurricane Katrina. You talked a lot, I think very fairly, about the issues surrounding Hurricane Katrina, what was George W. Bush's fault, what was not George W. Bush's fault. There is an enormous amount now of criticism leveled at Kamala Harris and Joe Biden over the response to Hurricane Helene and the suffering, frankly, by rural whites in Northwest North Carolina. Take a listen to Kamala Harris defending herself.
There's a lot of mis and disinformation being pushed out there by the former president about what is available, in particular to the survivors of Helene. And first of all, it's extraordinarily irresponsible. It's about him. It's not about you. And the reality is that FEMA has so many resources that are available to folks who desperately need them.
Of course, it wasn't irresponsible, I guess, for Democrats to criticize W. Bush over Katrina. That may be beside the point. There is this narrative, right, that but for the money spent on migrants, FEMA would be flush with cash and North Carolina would be made whole and everyone would have a place to stay, on and on and on. You think that's a fair criticism by Donald Trump, or just another political power grab, as you said?
I didn't hear Trump say that. Did he say that? Because I was in Europe for 4 days. Did Trump say
he's been very critical
because of migrants? All right,
he's been very
critical.
Is
different than saying money's diverted to migrants at the expense of hurricane victims. Look, again, it comes all down to the Trump people trying to convince the American voter that Biden and Harris don't know what they're doing. And there's some backup to that. Now, I can't comment about FEMA funds going into Hurricane Helene's wake. I don't know. All right. All I know is that when there is a national emergency like this, and we might have another one coming up this week, the federal government has to go in and it has to provide relief to people who get wiped out. And both parties should say yes. Now, if there's shenanigans, show me. I'm from Missouri, the show me state. I'm not really, but I like the motto. Okay?
Well, I'm from Missouri.
It's just
I'm from Missouri.
All right. Do you have anything to show me? Because I don't know if any funds are being diverted anywhere.
This is the rub. There's pots of money, right? They all come from the one big pot, which is taxpayer money. But there's pots of money. A lot of money spent out of this pot for migrants. A lot of money not in this pot for disaster relief. Now, do we say that it all came from the big pot, which is what Republicans are saying, or do we make the distinction between the two pots?
Right. Look. The Biden administration has run up the national debt in 3.5 years close to $8 trillion. I mean, they just throw money at everything. So why wouldn't they throw money at the hurricane people? All right, spending doesn't mean anything to them at all. They want to run it up.
Well, in fairness, it doesn't mean anything to Donald Trump either, right?
You never hear him say, I want a balanced budget amendment.
Right.
I'm going to cut back on spending. Never. Because you don't get elected that way. You get elected by promising everybody everything. They're both doing that. So I think that this thing is much ado about nothing. What worries me is that there is a threat in this country, and they're both parties are saying he's the threat, she's the threat. The threat is that the progressive movement doesn't like America, never has liked America, wants to strip it down and start again. And that's absolutely real. And the right, the people who are supporting Trump, they feel that. They may not understand every part of it. They feel this threat.
Well, we certainly saw it on display today.
Right. And the reason they feel the threat is because the media is allying itself with Kamala Harris. I'll tell NewsNation something you guys don't know. You don't know this. So Trump does Butler, right, on Saturday night. Humongous crowd. All right. He puts out a number. I don't take his number. Why would I take Donald Trump's number? So I call the Pennsylvania State Police, which is in charge of telling Pennsylvanians and everybody how many people gathered. That's what they do. Refuse to put the number out, Leland. They refuse to put the number out because the governor of Pennsylvania is a Democrat, Josh Shapiro. He doesn't want the number out. Okay? It's in excess of 100,000 showed up. All right? And it's a momentum builder for Trump. But that shows, and the folks know the fix is in.
Okay.
They don't know the Pennsylvania State Police are involved, and they are, and they should be ashamed. Absolutely should be ashamed. But this is why the MAGA people and the people supporting Trump are so vehement that the threat is
when you
coming
feel
from
you're under threat,
the far left.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That's how I've been to a lot of rallies. I fully understand the feeling of what people are expressing and why they find a savior, for lack of a better term. Bill, it's good to see you. Thanks. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.